In five, four, three, two. All right, everyone. Welcome to this little video. I wanted to take some time to answer some questions and share it here to you guys in this community, because right now it is March 18th, 2020, and this is a defining moment in history. And we're going through an unprecedented situation. We have the coronavirus, and it's spreading across the country, spreading across the world, and many people are freaking out. But still, yet when I go to social media and I ask people, are you working? 99% of them are still working. And most of my community are sales reps, and salespeople still are expected to do their job. However, many sales reps are sending me questions saying, I'm concerned. I don't know what to do. I can't get a hold of a prospect. How do I progress with these deals? What should I be doing at this time? How can I be effective? The world is coming to an end. And now I need to figure out how can I help to lead and to guide and to share what I feel. So I took a couple of days and I collect these thoughts. And Scott Romney, a great friend of mine, also one of our coaching clients. And I had a coaching session with Scott because a few days ago he sent me some questions that he had as well, some concerns and worries. But before I answer Scott questions and to share some of these responses that I have for you guys from some of your questions, I want you to introduce to my good friend here, Scott Romney. So Scott, why don't you take a second, tell us a little bit about you and what you do.
Yeah, so I'm a senior account executive right now over at Sochi. I've been a sales professional for many years in my life. I love sales. I love building great relationships with people. Sochi, really what we've come in to solve is there's a really big challenge when it comes to combining a digital marketing strategy and hundreds or even thousands of locations. So brands and franchises like Sport Clips or Anytime Fitness, we come in and we solve a lot of those challenges that come from even like an internal alignment, either with corporate and even that local area or that local franchise partner. So we come in and balance out your social media reviews, you name it. That's what we do, kind of an all-in-one platform.
So and the cool thing was before I started working with Scott, I didn't understand any of that stuff. I just thought like, places like say McDonald's with millions seems like of locations, hundreds of thousands of locations, like, each of them are the franchises. There's some burgers, millions of burgers, billions of burgers, but all the different locations, I always thought like, okay, is there like one button that they're pushing from the top and everything is funneling down? But you still got local organizations like people, McDonald's in Korea, the things that they might share might be totally different than the one in Louisiana might share. And you need to have a platform that can keep all of that unison, but still it gives some autonomy to the local folks that they stay on the same platform. And that's kind of like you guys have taught me that, how you're saving people the headache. So
yeah, and doing it at scale. I mean, that's really important. Who wants to manage 10,000 Facebook pages?
Not this guy. Which brings us to this question now, Scott. We're going through Corona, and I want to make sure everyone understands. I'm prefacing this with I guess a disclosure. Like, I am sensitive to people's circumstances. Right now in Florida, we're semi self quarantine where we stay home as much as possible, and we go out to the store or little stuff, but we're trying to stay home as much as possible. And I want to make sure we have a lot of senior citizens and friends who are elderly here, and I'm concerned for them, and I don't want them to be affected by it. So I'm adhering to some of the rules and guidelines. So there are things that cause a little bit of suppression on my day-to-day task, but I don't care because I want to make sure I can help in whatever way I can with people who are being affected by it the most. And with the tips and ideas that I'm giving you is today, I want you guys to understand that, keep that in light, that we need to be respectful and help other people and understand people's circumstances. But still yet, that doesn't mean that we need to stop doing and running our business. So going on that light, Scott, tell me some of the challenges. What did you write in that email? What did you have? The questions.
Well, I mean, obviously as a sales representative, like you really care about your own personal branding, and you don't want to be reaching out to people disingenuously or in this crisis and not being respectful to current events. It's important. And on the flip side, if you really have something, like I'm offering, like a social platform for social media, and seeing what it's doing right now in society and what that role is, I don't want to come off like I'm trying to squeeze a dollar out of a rock.
Yeah.
And nor do I want to bridle my, excitement about the product, about the platform, or really one and the same, but that platform and the opportunity And so obviously I reached out to you and I'm like, how do I do this so that I'm careful on how I come off and making sure that it's received in the same way that I want to give it.
And one of my clients, she shared that she had right now, she just can't, she doesn't feel, or she's concerned that people are not going to be able to, you're not getting people to answer the phones, or people are might not be interested right now. So I think there's a lot. And some of you have deals that you're sitting on that you're, like you said, it might be, you don't want to be insensitive to these people, like saying, bro, is this deal going to close or what? But you can't necessarily say that, because do they have the money or the capability? So here are some ideas. And this is after our coaching session today with Scott, I asked him if he could stick around to talk to me about this. And I'm pumped for this time. And again, I assure that I'm not being insensitive, but I'm really excited for this time right now, because let me tell you why. Because many of you right now, what you're doing, you're running and hiding. You are competing against me in some way, shape, or form. But as a sales rep, what you're doing, you're hiding. You're not picking up the phone. You're not calling people. You're not having conversation. And if you think about it, before all of this went crazy over the past several weeks, the economy was pretty good. I mean, my 401k, I'm not going to lie, 401k was looking pretty darn good, right? But it's not like it was 2008 where all of a sudden it was just a bunch of bad money and the housing market went totally collapsed. It's people made an emotional decision right now and not willing to buy or not willing to spend, but it's all based on the fear of Corona. And obviously certain things stopped, like we're not getting products, as you know, certain factories and things were halted in China. So there's certain things that did stop there, but if you were to pick that back up, it doesn't necessarily, I mean, I think the economy can continue to go back forward. It may take a little bit, but the point I'm getting at is not like the economy is totally dead. Things are still going. And I talked to a bunch of people on Facebook and I asked them, are you working? And 99% of them told me that they're still working right now. The way that they're working is different. So the first thing I want you guys to get across is the mentality. Now, when I talked to you about that part, Scott, I remember when our coaching session, you should see your face. It was like something woke up. Let's talk about that. How did that change your mindset to recognize that I need to change the way that I'm thinking?
Well, I think that, originally when I talked to you about it, it was your head down and you're kind of focused on just being in the moment, which is good, but not in a strategic way. I think it's, understanding what the circumstances are, but not looking up and saying, hey, here's the real opportunity. And I think, that light bulb moment that happened where I was going from more of how can I make this work to now that being excitement. And I want to reach out, and even connect with a couple of the people that we've got MSAs or agreements out with, and just re-communicate the confidence and be that leader for them to say, it's a defining moment. And as you communicated, the economy was great. And all of this has been defined by a mental change where it has dropped drastically. And I imagine, not being an acclaimed economist or financial leader, but if that mentality can change as fast for it to go down, how fast can that change to go right back up? And then consequently, just as this being that defining moment, what does that mean for us? Like I remember 9/11 and being in my English class when I was in school. And then I remember the real estate crash in 2008. And I've listened to thought leaders like Simon Sinek and many others talk about how that's defined different generations and their buying and the way that they socialize, and looking at this to say, how is this going to be a defining moment for us as small businesses, where for maybe many business owners, they've never dreamed about forcing their employees to work from home.
Yeah.
And now they are. And there's going to be these efficiency or these gaps that are going to be realized, and then these efficiencies that are going to be implemented. And secondarily to that, how critical that social media has been, whether or not if it's been a crisis in the United States, whether or not if it's been your neighborhood app, whether or not if it's been the police or I just moved up from South Florida, and Parkland was a big key as well. And seeing the tweets that were coming from the police, the Broward, County Sheriff Department, and being up to date, is social media is much more than just, I had a colleague say fun and fluff. It's a real lifeline. And now even to yesterday, where the president is now encouraging people to see their doctors via FaceTime. I mean, so much can be done online. And now, instead of being hunkered down like this for myself, I now feel like, well, wait a second, there's a real opportunity here for us to take advantage of. And we should be working that much harder to get out there and inform and educate, and to connect even for my own clients out there and prospects.
One of the richest guys in the world, it was, I forgot his name now, and after this video I'll post it. But he was the um, basically owned. I think it was the family owned the Digicel company in
I heard
Mexico.
about this guy. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And one of the things that he shares, and I please forgive me for this term, but he says their family, when they started taking over the telecom, it was back in Mexico in the Mexican Revolution, and the idea was buy when it's bloody in the street. And I don't want to use that term in a sense that there's bad sense, but I don't want to make it too graphic. But the idea is when things are going bad, if there's a way, can you still capture opportunities? While everyone was hiding and running, fortunately, their family had some money, so they were able to capture the telecom industry at that time, and now they were able to grow and became one of the richest men in the world at one. For a number of years, maybe still is. The point I'm trying to get at is that right now as sales rep, it's a land grab, and we need to buy, quote unquote, when it's bloody in the street. What I mean is that the virtual real estate right now, your customers are still, like Scott's saying, are on social media. They're still out there. But many of you're hiding, and I get it. Some of you are saying it may not be as effective. Everyone is still working. Everyone, 99% of people are still working. The idea of you picking up the phone and building relationship, I think that's a great thing you could do right now. Build relationship is the first thing, that tip I'll tell you. Recognize that you can build relationship with your prospect. You can connect with them. You can give them value. You can help them to recognize and see you as a thought leader. You can help them to see your brand as a thought leader. You can give them advice. You need to be in front of them because your competitors are running and hiding, and they're not getting out on social media. They're not sharing content. It's a land grab. It's for market share. It's not a matter of if we're going to get out of this. It's the United States of freaking America. It's a matter of when we're going to get out of this, right? And you look at the world economy, think of all the worst things that's happened throughout history, but we've always came out of them. When we get out of this, is your company going to be a leader or a lagger? Are you going to be the one that your prospects think about because they saw so many information from you? They saw you so much on social media at that time? Or are you going to be the ones that hide and quimmer? Because no matter who you are, if you're home right now, you're supposed to be working, but you're watching this. You're on social media. So let's make sure that we're actually there in front of you or sharing content. So that's the first thing that I'll tell you. You need to build relationship. It's a great land grab right now for market share, and only a few people are going to take advantage of it. Thoughts on that, Scott?
Yeah, I mean, just circling back to it, is this being a defining moment between consumers and businesses. It's changing. It absolutely is changing. And I think that after this, you're going to continue to see that. And I'm just fortunate to be in a space where we are providing the tracks for these brands and messaging to be communicated on these social media channels. Where, I mean, afterwards, and again, I guess circling back to it from a sales perspective, decision makers, your champions, they're not in the office. Social media, that's how we're connecting, right? As well as we talk about just from a business perspective and to their customers, from a salesperson to my decision maker and champions, my contacts. It's all in the same relevant field that I think that it's going to be a defining moment coming out of this.
Yeah. So the first thing, again, understanding that's a defining moment, understand that it's a mindset thing, just as much as we went into a mindset and we started to worry, we need to change our mindset. You could think in the negative sense, or you could think in the abundance mentality. Recognize that people are still working. Is there a way you can still connect with them? Is there a way you can still get in front of them? And yes, you can do that. The second thing that I want to help you is to change your messaging. Change the messaging. So instead of you saying the message before this, what was your message, Scott? You can just put you on a spot here, but before this happened, Corona started happening, what were you saying to prospects when you called them 2 weeks ago?
No, I mean, generally it was more about how they're doing a great job online or seeing some research, but there was a problem that I wanted to share with them and how we can make it look better or how they can do better. To now it's talking about how social media is a lifeline, and if they're not there, they need to be there.
Yeah.
You know, I've got a prospect right now that I'm just so excited to reach back out to because, you know, they may, similar in the fitness industry, Anytime Fitness. I'm a member here at the local gym as well. My wife's over here at Orange Theory. They're closing down, and they're utilizing and pointing to their local franchise social media pages. But what's interesting is what would prohibit us or another brand to start sharing top exercises that they could do while they're at home.
Yeah.
Right? Or if they wanted to jump on a personal FaceTime, coaching session and do some professional stretching, at half the cost or whatever pricing model that just makes sense for the business in there. But again, that channel is social media. The channel is, or the idea is that there's an opportunity now, instead of us putting our heads down, it's heads up. How can we win? How can we be the leaders? You just mentioned, looking at these big fitness industries, maybe this is an opportunity to start capitalizing on each other to have their heads up, spend some more dollars versus holding it back. Because if you're holding it back and people are at home on social media, there's some great time right there to jump in front of those consumers and talk about post-coronavirus fitness plans, and how they, if they're local, that they could do whatever marketing message that they would want.
Yeah. And I'm thinking about from your standpoint, and many of you in different industries, but like think about it from if you were approaching that gym and talking to them about this, we mentioned in our coaching session about how Facebook has given out $100 million grant for ads. Yeah. But it's like people, you can sit on your dollars, but if I'm a business right now and you came to me and you helped me change my message, first the sales rep need to recognize that right now you need to change your messaging and focus on a solution to the current problem at hand. And in your case, you recognize that right now is a land grab for potential people for a gym. The gym might be thinking, I need to sell membership. Well, yes, you can sell membership, but people are probably not willing to go out. You can't go out to your membership. Sell a virtual membership, or give them something else. They can do some tips at home. You're changing your message, and you're changing the way you're thinking. And you're changing the prospect mentality as well. And the same idea if you're in travel. I'm still getting stuff from Frontier. Like I'm getting these cheap flights, and I'm thinking, shoot, I may be able to travel in 3 months or 4 months. Why not buy some cheap deals right now? It's a buyer's market. I can take advantage of that right now. And then I can go to freaking, Costa Rica or somewhere else for maybe 40% of the cost that I would pay pre the Corona situation. So the idea there is you can also, I guess number 4 is that you can think about unique ways you can structure your deal opportunities to get them across the line. And I don't want to get too personal with this, but you talked about, or too much into your stuff, but you talked about a way that you guys are structuring some of your deals that you're getting them. So you have deals that you're sitting on right now. People are worried. You're calming them down because you're a leader, and you're helping them to think long-term, and you're helping them to realize this, we're going to get out of this, but you're also giving them an opportunity, a deal that they can't say no to. And would you be willing to talk about what you're structuring for one of your prospects?
Yeah. And I just want to be clear and concise on this, because it would be completely disingenuous to ignore the real financial implications that are going on their performance, or their bottom line. Like you can't ignore that.
No.
And then simultaneously, as we're all trying to reach out as a community and to support businesses, we're not interested in pulling the plug either for somebody that can't pay, right? That's not what we're here about, and that's not part of our own values. So part of where we're working right now, of course, with leadership, is some of the red tape, or things that may not have been permissible before are coming down, and to look at those to take advantage of in the right way, in aligning those pain points for your customers. So to answer your question, we're doing different agreements to where we're pushing out net 60, net 30. Like, let's get these tools implemented. Let's get them utilized. Let's get the learning curves and the studying taken care of, while a lot of the franchise or local people that would be participating in this program are at home. Let's get that education part going. And then let's talk about billing in 60, 90 days. So we're doing net 60, net 90, whatever that it may be to fit those business models. Is again, as fast as we can turn it off, is as fast as we can get this economy to turn back on.
And I love that idea. When you were sharing that with me, I think so many of us, we might think, well, they can't pay. Well, think outside the box. And this is a fantastic way to do that. I mean, I think it's genius. And I think it just shows you guys compassion as you recognize they're a human being, you recognize that money may not be easy right now, but you change your messaging, and you also change that there's a deal they can't refuse. Just like with me, I can't refuse this freaking deal to go to Philadelphia or to New York for $50. I mean, for South Florida, it's like I could pay for Christina and I for $100 to go on a trip. It was like, great. And, I'm sure the hotels or Airbnb at that point would be, would still be cheaper in several months, but it's a buyer's market.
It is.
So
It
give
is.
them an opportunity, give them something that they can't say no to, even if it's not pay like layaway, pay later. Be sensitive and recognize that. And I think also like for me as a company, for if I'm doing a sales training and I don't have to travel, like we're doing a workshop on Monday, and it was 2 location, but now this company that I was working with, this organization, they're doing that workshop. We're going to do 1 workshop, virtual workshop. Instead of me going to 2 different locations, it was going to be Pittsburgh and also Jersey. But I can go to 1 location right now, my home, and to do that workshop to them in their home. And it's going to cost them less for location, and it's going to cost me less for travel. But the idea is, let's say, but what they decided to do, they started, instead of having like it's a paid thing, they started opening up to all of their members, and they're giving so many other people opportunity to come in, because it's not going to cost them any more to have one other person in. And for me, if I'm doing a training program for a company, I can give out, say if it was, say X amount of dollars for 5 people in a training. Why don't you bring 2 other people in? Who cares? I'm not going to give them physical material. They're going to be digital materials that they can download. And I don't have to waste any more time because I'm doing it already once right here. So the point is, can I give more to my clients? Can I give them different deal structures? Can I break up the payments because I'm recognizing their challenges just as much as my challenge? Of course. But do not go into it with, they're not willing to pay $100,000 right now, so I can't do this deal. Life sucks. Business is going to hell. No.
Yeah, like, and just to talk on that point, I mean, we always hear salespeople don't give it out for free, because then you're just downplaying, the real value of your tool. And I agree with that. But likewise, I'm sure for many businesses, they don't want their customers to get something for free from them, right? Again, it's not devaluing your tool, your product. It's really listening to what their pains are and addressing their pains, versus just, I think often, sometimes we as sales contributors or sales leaders, sometimes we just want to hack
Yeah.
that's not the pain point, right? And to really peel that back and understand and listen without, I call, happy ears.
Yeah. The happy ears. And yeah, I think also with it, like it is true. Like there's something about it when, because well, let's back it up. When I sold software, when we would sell at Christmas time or certain times a year, we gave out deals. But these deals that we gave in our special negotiation, it were deals that weren't going to cost us more money. And I think that's the biggest thing I want to emphasize to you guys. Is there a way you can still do these things without making sure you don't get, it's not costing you any more money, but you already have the software freaking made. Your company already made this, like whatever. Your developers are not going to have to create a new software before a customer. Give them that license or 2 as an add-on bonus, and make it that they can't resist it at this point. For their organization, they're going to need to do it. I mean, I was joking with my wife, and I'm like saying, man, do we need a new car? Because that would be a great time to go buy a new car. Go down to the dealership, and you can imagine them salivating just standing there. It's like, yes, I want a new car, but this is what I'm willing to spend.
You buy it digitally, right? Like,
yeah, or you can do that too. Say, I'm willing to spend this much money, and that's it. Tell me they're going to say no at this point. Of course not. People want that. And so I think that's that 4th thing. And the final piece that I want to get to you when it comes down to what you can do to prepare or to help do this, now that you have your mindset, you have your messaging, and that you're recognizing some ways that you could structure your deals. I mean, the last thing I just want you to realize is that this now, like you mentioned, the defining moment, things are going to change for companies forever. If I was to think about it from an employee standpoint or an employer standpoint, if I have teammates and those teammates are able to work remote, and I can see that the cost of having them to come to the office after this, that they still were productive, we still sold, we still had success, and it cost me 20% less, I'm not going to go back to the old model. I'm like, why do that? Let's evolve. And I think this is a time where we can witness this evolution in place. It is a time that is giving us opportunity we can do business better or improve it. So you can go back and sit back in your cave and watch Netflix and complain, or you can take advantage of ways that you can get out on social media, recognize a defining moment, and to change the way you are doing business and help your customers change the way that they're doing business. But you got to do something. You cannot sit on your hands. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And understanding there's risk on both sides, right? And I think you stated it really well, Donald, a little earlier is, if we were playing a game and it was evident that you were going to lose, are you going to lose slowly? Or would you advance your strategy so that you could lose quickly with the opportunity of gaining, a win out of it. And I think for many people, that's something that has to be looked at and strategized over, and what that looks like. Because again, a good point you put up is, are you going to be the leader, or is your competitor going to come out as the leader at this point? And if it's so, I mean, it's going to be done digitally. That's how we're communicating right now.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And I want to really second that. And I'll give you guys some advice. We're using Zoom right now to record this. Is there a way that maybe, Scott, you could take one of your customers or prospect and you can give some tips to potential customers? I mean, for somebody else out there, is there a way that you can pull on FaceTime camera on your computer, QuickTimes, and record a video and share a tip? Is there a way you can take your phone, your LinkedIn video, and just record a simple little tip and share something, or put it on the gram or on Facebook? Is there a way that you can capture the real estate? Is there a way you can send this in your email to your customers? Is there a way that you can do some stuff right now? Yes. The answer is yes. Stand up, act, do something, and don't wait to be acted upon. Let's make sure we do what we can to help our company, help our pipeline, but more so than anything is to help our customers, give them ways that they can succeed. If we could bring value to them, no matter what time, what circumstances is, people are going to be willing to respect you and willing to do stuff. But show you that loving, show the care, and give them a way to help them win. I don't know if there's anything else that you got from our coaching session earlier that you're willing to share, Scott.
No, I mean, I'm looking here at my notes, and I think we've covered a lot of it. It's and carefully and hopefully, as I'm communicating this well intended, is it's exciting. It's a defining moment, and just to kind of give an example that I looked at the other day is,
Sure.
Not the other day, but for my last travels before this really came down. Hopefully this doesn't come off as TMI, but every time I went to the restroom in about 4 or 5 different airports, I had to wait in line to wash my hands. And one of the moments I was sitting there and I was thinking about this is, I've never in all my traveling days have I ever had to wait in line to wash my hands. But here I am at the airport waiting in line to wash my hands, and thinking, what is this going to look like now, 6 months out of this, when things are back to normal? And I was curious about perhaps some of that silent judgment that's going to come across from individuals, if it's palpable enough to where maybe I'll still be waiting in line to wash my hands, just because of the change that this causes to us as a society.
Yeah, I think so. I think there are going to be a lot of those little changes. And I mean, so many other little areas I'm thinking about that we'll see this adjustment, and it'll be for our benefit. And as human beings in our continual societal evolution.
Yeah, and rolling that into working from home and social media. And I mean, I think out of all the stocks that I've seen tumbling, Amazon's the only one going up.
Speaking about, I'm home working and they just knocked on the door and delivered a package. They're actually hiring more, from what I heard. They're
100,000. Yeah, I saw an article for 100,000.
And giving $2 more per hour. So it's like, yeah.
I've seen a guy come knock on our door and then he runs away.
Yeah, he's like, I'm not talking to you.
We haven't instructed him to do that, but he's,
Yeah. But yeah, there's, so, and some industries, it may be a little bit harder to look at it and to see how it might work. But I do feel that if you were to research enough, there's value that you can pull out of this for others. And I think so many of them, it may be hard in the moment, but take advantage. And some of you may have to take advantage of loans and opportunities with that, like, SBA loans, or I know the government's really pushing that, or different things that local governments are doing. And I'm grateful for some of those things I'm seeing, but take advantage of those opportunities. And let's make sure you can to pull through this. We're here to help you. And I know if you continue to do these things, you continue to apply, you continue to work, you continue to hustle, you're going to be effective as a sales rep. I've been there, I've done it, and I'm doing it right now with you. And I want to guide you and help you through that process. But Scott, if our friends out there listening want to get a hold of you or learn about Soci, or just to be your friend because you're just such a nice guy, what's the best way for them to go about to connect with you?
LinkedIn, Scott Romney. Not too many young Scott Romneys like myself out there.
Okay. Well, I'll put a link back down to your LinkedIn profile in the YouTube video comment section here below, as well as on Facebook and on LinkedIn. But Scott, thanks for taking the time to chat today. And I'm super excited to hear about the success you're going to see with your outreach efforts and some of the things you're doing during these challenging times. And for all of you, I encourage you to be safe. Make sure you follow the local rules and guidelines. I was annoyed yesterday. Went out to the store and I saw a bunch of people partying for St. Patrick's Day. Like, come on, just give up the booze and all that stuff for one day and protect your family members and loved ones who may not be as strong an immune system or may not be effective as much as you are. So be sensitive. Love you guys. But as always, I want you to be successful. I want you to find more ideal customers. I want you to be able to build stronger value. I want you to close more deals. But I want you to go out and do big things.
That's right.